And a good day to everybody out there. This is Temierus here. Now, this is the part where I would say that today I have with me the game, was it The Initiate 2, the first interviews. And I would have liked to say that because it was a somewhat interesting looking game. Some kind of like survival horror puzzle solve game. Guess it was a sequel and the first one played alright. But unfortunately, that was apparently destined to not happen because I ran across a certain issue that has cropped up on other Steam games before, and that issue happens to be the particular file is missing. As we get an error thrown up there, the executable was missing when I started capturing the footage here. Now, if you are watching here, you'll see that I pull up in the menu of the local files. There's an exe folder that did not come bundled in with the game. That's something I did later as I was kind of trying to test and figure out what the hell was going on. What seems to be happening, there is an exe that comes with the game. It does actually install with an executable file, and you can verify and get the executable back. That kind of worked because I was able to keep the executable, so I can just not have to wait to re-verify. Right there is where the magic issue comes up. Attempting to run the game seems to cause the executable to delete itself. I cannot for the life of me figure out what would be causing this, but for a game that had a prior title, which people seem to have somewhat liked, and to launch at, what's this thing retail at, $17 or $18? It was on sale for $13.50. To have your executable just die on launch is, well, embarrassing, I would garner to say. So, since I can't get the game to run, that's actually why we have some Civ 5 footage running up there, because I'm just like, I had to figure out something to do with my time, really, since the game didn't work. And there was me trying to launch the executable manually, because I know sometimes when there's been executable issues on certain games, you can just run it manually, and that'll sometimes fix it. But that didn't happen on this game. It just deletes no matter what you do to try and get a game to run. I also tried a little thing of sometimes these executables kind of freak out if you're on certain permission access levels, particularly in the Windows 7 environment, which I still have Windows 7. I'm still running Windows 7. One of these days I'm probably going to go to Windows 10 since I've seen that it seems to work fine, and there's other games that I would be interested in that are wanting to run on Windows 10 or run better on Windows 10 than they do on Windows 7, since Windows 7 is technically an older operating system and not nearly as actively supported. So yeah, on Windows 7, what I was trying to say is sometimes your access permissions are wonky for some reason. Even when you're in an admin account, it still wants you to have admin permissions. So I tried to go into one of the things that come up as a common fix. I'll just click on the executable, tell it to run as administrator, save those changes, and I'll try and launch it there, because sometimes that works. Because sometimes even just right-clicking and just hitting the run as administrator button doesn't fully do it. You have to go on the properties executable and tell it, hey, run as administrator. Then click that one again. Really messed up. It's not my C drive either, so I gave it as many chances as I possibly could. But when I went to go and try and apply administrator privileges to the executable, rather than save me applying the administrator privileges, that also deleted the executable. So I don't know what's going on with this game that, again, has a retail value of $17, $18, somewhere in there. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I know it's in that range. But to have a game that's at that price to come out and your executable deletes itself when it tries to run. Well, this kind of points out some of the things of, if you've watched other videos before, I sometimes have some hesitant or maybe a bit of a hostile attitude, partly to early access. I don't necessarily have a problem with early access as a thing, but I do recognize that early access can have some problems. This is one of them because this is also an early access game. It's a Wednesday video. I try to get early access games for Wednesday videos, and it doesn't work. And that's kind of part of the problem. You put your game out, the executable is deleting itself. Somebody has a review up there, so either it's only deleting on certain machines or there's something else that needs to be figured out. It's a minor bug. I don't know what it is, but my machine deletes the executable when trying to launch it. Somebody had a review up there, and either they can get it to run on their computer or it's fake review. I don't know. I'm not trying to accuse the developer of doing that at all. They've been around long enough. I think they know not to do that. But sometimes these days on Steam, it's a bit hard to tell, it seems. But this early access game, I got it downloaded. It seemed sort of interesting enough I'd give it a chance of, hey, it's not my usual game, but maybe it'll surprise me and I actually like it. Because honestly, I really enjoy running into that, where it's games where it's like, I don't know if I would have just grabbed this on my own, but then I try it and like, this is actually decently entertaining. But now I have this really sour reputation of, you launched a game that can't run. I had a slightly similar experience. It wasn't an early access game, but it was the one visual novel I've tried. It was Tokyo Dark. Actually looked really interesting, and when I was able to play like 2 hours of the game, I was pretty well invested in it. I actually really enjoyed where it was going. It was playing on some things I find very fascinating. It was playing on basically the mental stability of somebody, because you play as a detective and there's some kind of mystical nonsense, supernatural spirit, whoozy what's it's going on, which had the potential to kind of drive the character you're playing as insane. But the problem is that one ran into the problem of, after playing it for a couple hours and this started showing up on a lot of people playing on Windows 7, the game couldn't remember how to run, is the best way I could put it. Because when you try to launch it later, it would launch the executable 4 separate times, and the game doesn't understand how to cope with that, and your PC at the same time probably also doesn't know how to cope with that, because it's not properly set up to be a program that can run multiple instances, because most games are not set up for that, and there's no real reason for them to be set up like that anyway. But yeah, that one upset me. But that was a full release game, so that really shied me away from those developers. And since they were being published by Square Enix, I thought they would have a higher standard to that, but I guess I was wrong, because they basically just said, oh, well, it's just a bug that we just don't see about fixing, so we're just not going to fix it, or something like that. This one, I haven't contacted the developer yet about this, because I pretty much just found out about it half an hour ago when this crashing started happening. It's not even crashing, it's just file deletion. But I found out about this half an hour ago. I haven't talked to the developers yet, but I don't know. If I wasn't wanting to give it a chance to try and get an actual video of it, I would be immediately uninstalling this game, refunding the money, and too bad if their game ends up being better. You've got well, at least one customer is going to tell you, no, that was crap. They launched a game that just can't work. And I do meet the system requirements for it, but system requirements don't cause file deletion when you're trying to run an executable. At least not to my knowledge. That's not a problem that happens by incompatible hardware. So That's kind of a thought I have on early access, which is games getting launched that don't work, and games that get launched and they're just absolute complete garbage. Even if they're going to be better, even if those things are going to be fixed, you launched out in this early development state when you probably could have kept it closed off, could have run in a closed beta, a closed alpha, got down on some other systems, found out, hey, certain operating systems, for all I know it's the operating system, causes a file to get deleted. We should fix this before we put it out for mass market consumers. But you don't with early access. You put out your whole game, whatever functioning or non-functioning state it is, and then somebody like me who browses around sees your game like, I'll try it. Your first impression is just completely obliterated by the sheer fact I get on there and it's like, great, paid money for a game, can't play the game. Cool, I guess. I don't know. I mean, honestly, it also makes you a bit wary of a developer. It's like, if I remember this developer name when I see another game from them, I'm probably going to be a bit cautious because, like, well, they released a game that didn't work. Now, I realize I'm kind of calling them out when I'm just trying to explain early access, but it's just because they were the topic here that happened to happen. But, yeah, that's a bit of a ramble. I have felt like complete and total shit these past 2 days. If you actually noticed, I didn't even get a Battletech video out yesterday because I was in such shitty state I couldn't record anything. Got a bit better today, but ended up this is being recorded way later than I normally like to record things. So I'm also battling being pretty damn tired. It's no excuse on my part, but it is what it is. May as well just come straight with you guys. Just come out with it. So, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna give it a benefit of the doubt that's gonna be fluke because I guess I'm patient like that. I don't know what to call it. But I'm gonna give it until the weekend to see if the game gets fixed and I can run the executable. And if I can, then I'll be putting up a video. We can actually take a look at the game, see if it's actually worth playing and dealing with this headache. But if not, I mean, I'm going to see it as a do not recommend, do not buy. That's just a bit of a sorry state to see a game launched in. Yeah, I think that'll just about wrap it up. That's about all my ramblings. Thank you for watching anyway, even though I didn't have the game that I had a title of.